Good afternoon to you. Trust you're having a good one on this 27th day of May. Welcome to Weekend at One. My name is Michelle Ngele. We're following up on our top stories this hour and following a wave of killings in Isiolo last evening. Borana leaders this morning accused the national government of laxity and favoritism. At least 10 herders were killed in a gun battle between Isiolo and Marsabit herders at the Isiolo-Marsabit borders. Let's now listen in to the leaders.
So, apart from recovering the animals, we are appealing for government to carry out operations to support families who are affected. Some of the men who have died are breadwinners for their families. They have kids in school, and these kids need to be taken care of. With their fathers gone, killed by people, government has not protected their lives. It is upon our government now to provide some temporary relief in terms of providing some support to these families so that the kids who are in school, the widows, their needs can be taken care of. And this has happened at a very difficult time for us as Muslims. We have just begun our fasting season. And you can imagine now losing animals, losing lives, losing breadwinners, and even those who are still alive, not being able to peacefully take care of their animals. Things can get only worse. If these perpetrators of this heinous crime are not followed by government and are not brought to book, it's not a matter of only recovering our animals. We want them to be brought back to be brought to book so that they can actually serve as an example for others who have intention like them. Banditry, I mean cattle rustling, should not be taken as a normal thing. There's nothing normal about cattle rustling. It should be taken as, some kind of violence with robbery with violence. There's no people who are arming themselves to go and kill other civilians without any reason should not be taken as people who are perpetrating some kind of a cultural practice. It should not be taken as a cultural practice. It is something which we need to discard, and unless the government takes very stern action against people who are responsible, to make sure that they are arrested, they are charged in court of law, and whatever the law says is taken. If it's passing even a death sentence against them, that is what will deter these guys from continuing these kind of things.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union is complaining about delayed implementation of the agreements made with the government after the 100-day doctors' strike. The union is currently holding a press briefing in Nairobi. Let's listen in to what they have to say.
About a few issues, number one of which, of course, is to update the country on the progress that we have made concerning the issues of the collective bargaining agreement. And number two is to discuss specifically the issue of employment of doctors and posting post-internship. And then, of course, also to look into the future on what next. So to first tell you is that today with us here are young doctors who have been jobless, some of them for 6 months or so. And I think that is what I want to address first, because we have been told before, and I remember in March when the government of Kenya was very enthusiastic in bringing doctors from outside the country, and we had this talk, and some members of the public were wondering whether the union was right in saying that we have Kenyans who are doctors who needed our jobs, and the money that would have been used to import doctors, let's first of all employ our own doctors. Today we have these doctors here, and at that time we said that these doctors were numbering 1,400, and it's actually indeed true that we have about 1,400 doctors in this country who are awaiting employment, even at a time when the government itself has acknowledged that there are severe shortages, when the government itself is running around all over the world looking for doctors from Tanzania to Cuba. And I think it is very important that we make this very clear to the country that the PSC guidelines for employment, the Immigration Act, talks about we have to employ talent from outside when we have proven that there is no person of such qualifications here in this country. And I think it is important to put the government on notice that we have doctors who have been waiting. I have to say that over the last 2 or 3 years, we as a union have kept updating the country on our staffing needs, on the doctor-patient ratio, and ours is one of those poorest ones. Kenya still has a shortage of about 83,000 doctors. Even recently, the data that you were given when concerning pay showed very clearly that all the counties combined just have about 3,900 doctors. 3,900 doctors. And that is a decline because in the last 2 or 3 years, we've lost about 2,000 doctors because of these challenges of devolution and HR problems. Just after the strike, we've lost about 10% of doctors who could not stand being in a system that is frustrating them. And it is important that if we are to ensure universal health coverage, if we are to ensure access to doctors for every single citizen, that we put our money where our mouth is. The Ministry of Health and the government of Kenya cannot go around shopping for doctors from outside when we have doctors in this country who are Kenyans, who are children of our own country. What is it? What are we showing to their parents and to themselves and to the young people in this country who have ambitions of doing the best to make sure that they give their country their services as doctors? And today we have them here. And we know that at the Council of Governors, we know that there's been a change of leadership. And we want, first of all, to congratulate Governor Nanok for having taken over this leadership. We also know that he's been very progressive in his own county, raising the number of doctors from 11 to about 40. The number of doctors coming from 11 to about 40 in Turkana. And we believe that these are issues that when we sit down, we can easily solve them. So we are also appealing to the Council of Governors that in the next 1 week, and with the Ministry of Health, that instead of going to Cuba and Tanzania signing MOUs, we can sit down in the next 1 week so that we discuss serious HR challenges and HR shortages, and particularly ensure that by the end of this month, we have a clear roadmap on how we are going to fill our hospitals with our own Kenyan doctors so that wananchi can stop waiting in hospitals endlessly, while there are Kenyans that wananchi themselves have trained to help with that shortage. And we wanted to address ourselves specifically to this because we know that there are budgets for it. We know that there is money for it. We know that the establishments of the counties and the previous establishment allows us to have up to about 10,000 doctors. So I don't think that there's any single county in this country that can start saying that we do not have money to pay doctors. We are very hopeful that granted that opportunity, we can sit down with the Council of Governors and the Ministry of Health to ensure that this crisis is sorted out in the most amicable of ways. Secondly, I think I have to give updates on the collective bargaining agreements and the negotiations that have been going on. First of all is to say that the union has been very frustrated with the slow progress. The progress has been good, but it's been extremely slow because every now and then there are different parties that come in. So far, we've negotiated with nearly 9 to 11 different teams, each one county secretaries, chief officers, county public service boards, the ministry, and it's the same issues over and over and over that we had talked about during the strike. And I think in the interest of the public, and you want to make it very, very clear, in the interest of the public, it is important that the issues that are remaining are sorted out in the soonest time possible. We know that we had signed an addendum to the return to work formula that were extending the deadlines. Some of those deadlines come to an end tomorrow. The other deadline comes to an end on the 3rd of June. We are hopeful and we want to put this country on notice that if we act in the best interest of the public and in the best interest of healthcare, that the next 1 week is enough to conclude all these issues. We have been meeting day and night And we want to, of course, also convey our gratitude to part of the teams that have been engaging from the government side, because it's been very vigorous. Up to late last night, we were actually still meeting under the chairmanship of Mr. Haga from the LSK. And we know that we've made significant progress. So far, we are waiting for a letter of no objection from the SRC. The SRC is already aware. We hope that can be done by Monday. But we also want to tell the government that the progress has been painfully slow. Painfully slow. And I think the expectations from the public, including these doctors, because part of the issues that we are discussing in the CBA and part of the issues that we discussed in the CBA is employment of doctors and how to staff our facilities. So what's the way forward? For us as a union, we are always been very committed to dialogue. We are very committed to dialogue and to ensure that these processes are completed in a way that do not disrupt services. But we also have to say that there are a number of people on the side of government that are still intent on causing pain to the doctors. We want to single out some few officers from the Ministry of Health who so far have not paid doctors their dues for nearly 5 months, even after a directive from the president. So we don't know who these people want to listen to. There are a number of officers, some of whom are here, and specifically doctors who are in the internship program, have never been paid for their dues for the 3 months.
Dr. Omar Oluga, they are Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union. They are addressing the press on matters surrounding the welfare of doctors in hospitals. Omar Oluga points out a few things there, especially with regard to the collective bargaining agreement, which saw doctors embark on a 100-day strike. The signing of that CBA lapses tomorrow, and the KMPDU is now asking the government to expedite its intentions. They're also asking the Council of Governors as well as the Ministry of Health to sit down with them in a week to create a clear roadmap on how to employ more Kenyan doctors in Kenyan hospitals as opposed to employing doctors from outside the country. We'll bring you more details of that address by the KMPDU in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, a big political meeting of Rift Valley leaders is currently underway at the Bogoria Hotel, bringing together serving and aspiring political leaders. Our reporter Victor Gale is there and now joins us live. Victor, what is the agenda for this meeting and who exactly is in attendance?
Well, it is a closed-door meeting that is now in its second hour, and we tried making into the hall, but you're told to wait outside. But what we've managed to gather is that it is a meeting that involves the Jubilee aspirants, those who won in the primaries a few weeks ago, and those who will be going for the various seats at various levels. And this is just a meeting for those aspirants to perhaps sit and strategize on the way forward, how they are going to trounce over their opponents, especially those who will be vying on as independent candidates. Remember also, these independent candidates were once with them in their particular parties. In this particular point, we're talking about the Jubilee Party. So these are people who perhaps are quite familiar with their opponents in Jubilee Party. So this is a meeting just to strategize and see how they're going to work and make sure that they garner as a high number of seats compared to the Jubilee, compared to the independent candidates. Just to put you in the know, perhaps you have a very big turnout of the who is who in the political arena in Rift Valley, especially the North Rift. We have Oscar Sudi, we have Uasin Gishu County Governor Mandago, we have the winner of the Jubilee ticket for Keses parliamentary seat, that is Swarup Mishra, or as they know him in Uasin Gishu as Kiprop. We also have Professor Margaret Kama, who also won and will be vying. We also have Alisa Chelule, who will be vying for the women representative seat in Nakuru County. So in a nutshell, that is what they're deliberating, and I know in a few hours time, perhaps in 2 hours, the meeting will be over and we shall get a proper brief, and we shall be in a position to update our viewers in our subsequent bulletins throughout the day.
All right, thank you for that, Victor. We'll be keeping an eye on that, joining us live from Bogoria. You're watching Weekend at 1. We take a short break now. Do stay with us. There's so much more on the other side.